I'm Steve Jones from SQL Server Central, and this is my T-SQL Tuesday 185 submission. So you can see I started doing this blog post here, and I'm going to add in here. Here's my submission. There we go. So now this is a placeholder. I'll save this, and I'm going to stick in this video, which is me kind of figuring out how to do something. So let me flip over here. So I was working on a question for the flat file wizards because somebody asked me about how it works, and I was doing some work with SQL Server Central, actually trying to create a question of the day, and so I wanted to look at this. And when I went down here and looked at this, what I actually found, where was it down here? Is it here? Here. Simple way to copy data from a flat file, CSV or text. Okay, so it supports both comma separated and fixed width format files. That seems like a limiting set of things, but I wanted to see, is that actually true? Because I've looked at this prose program synthesis using examples format before, which actually takes you to a Microsoft research project where they talk about this, and it tries to do some pattern recognition to do some import type stuff, right? So I thought, is it really just CSV and text? So I thought, let's do some testing. So I've got Management Studio here. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to create a text file so I could test this wizard, right? Because this wizard exists here. Let's see, I've got this sandbox database. If I right click this, I go to tasks, I go to import flat file, and I get this wizard. Right, and it says specify the input file and preview stuff there. Okay, now here is where I pick the file. When I do this, let's try to make this fit into my video window. It's looking for CSV or text or all files. Okay, and I've got some CSVs and things here too. But what I actually want to do is create a new text file. So let me open up Visual Studio Code, and we'll make this fit in here. We'll say new file, text file, that's fine. And what I want to do is let's start with this editor, and let's say Andy Warren, data engineer, and then we'll say Brian, Knight, CEO, right? I think he still runs pragmatic works. So what I want to do is I created a simple file here. If I say save this, we'll stick this in documents. We'll call this ffTest.txt, CSV, right? Because that's a CSV file. So let's see if this thing actually works. So we'll close this. You can see I see it here. If I pick this in file, we'll give it a new title. I'm just going to leave it there because I don't really care what this says. And then we'll hit next, and it's going to say, okay, we're going to create a table with this structure. We've read this data. Great, fine, it's fine. I don't really care. Do I want these columns to be this type? Yeah, sounds good. We can just work with this. I could change this, or I could say first name. Since I work for an English company, I'll say surname, and then we'll say title, right? So that's what we could do. Let's do this. Does it import stuff? Oh, fantastic. ffTest, is it test? Text, let's see, test. Yeah, there it is. So it imported the data. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I do all the time when I'm experimenting with a feature, trying to solve a problem, and I wonder if something works. But I want to probe the boundaries. So let's go back to my text file here. And what if I made this text? So the docs say fixed width format, right? So fixed width format would be something like this. I gotta get one more there. Where now I have fixed width type stuff, right? That there is a boundary. Well, I don't know how I do this. Do I do this here? Yeah. So there's a boundary there and there's a boundary there. So will it still import this data as 3 columns? So let's do a save as. Should recognize Control Shift Test. And I'm going to say text We're going to do 2 here. Okay, so now I've got a new file. Let's run the wizard again. So if I come up here, tasks, and I say import flat file, and I don't care about this. And this time I'm going to pick that text file. We'll leave that file there. Oh, look at that. It detects that as the correct columns, right? Data engineer, even though there's 2 values there, it detects that. I don't really care what the columns are this time. And so if I change this to a 2, seems to have worked there too. And now that's not an extensive test, but still, it shows me some interesting things. So let's flip back over here to my file. Actually, I want to open up. Where's my original one? Can I do something that it doesn't say it does? Can I do this? Oops, I didn't want to do that at all. But pipe. And I'm going to save this as 3 as pipe separated file. Right, so now I'm using pipes, which isn't listed in the documentation, right? If I were to come back here, it does not say pipe separated files. But will this actually work? Well, that's an interesting question. So we'll import flat files, we'll do this, and we'll say we now, so it's, I didn't name it correctly here. Let's get rid of that. We'll do that. That is, the filter now doesn't see this file because I renamed it. But if I come down here in the bottom and I say all files, it's there. So now I'm picking a pipe separated file. We're going to go to 3. It still gets it, right? The pros actually detects the data types. And so if I run this and I go to, well, let's just copy this so you can see. 3, looks like it's working correctly. So what else could I do here? If I were to come in here and say, let me switch back to this file, let's save this, save as 4. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave this. Can I say all files? All files. So what other characters could I do? I'm going to say a BSV. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to search and replace that with a bracket. Okay. So now look at my file. Now that's a weird format for sure. But let's save this. We've got this 4th one. Does that actually work? Tasks, flat file. Let's go to 4. It's not here again. Let's change to all files. Bracket separated file. Just going to click through it quickly because I really want to see the result. Does this actually work? Look at that. It imports the data again in a file format that's kind of weird. Now that's the kind of thing I do often where I'm just trying to say, can I test things in different ways and what's the possibility? And in this case, what I actually would want to do now is come in here and edit this file, right? This is Microsoft Docs and it would say, what do you want to do? And I would say, edit it. And then I would actually come down here and this part I would change to say, you know, probably say a flat file, CSV, comma, PSV, comma, etc. New table. Other delimiters and fixed tweak files, right? So I would probably do this. I'll commit these changes, right? This wizard PROs supports both CSV, PSV, and other delimiters. Now I didn't extensively test it, but that's some. I'll propose these changes. This will create a pull request. This isn't really part of my T-SQL thing, but that's fine. I'll create this pull request. This will actually go to Microsoft and somebody will come back to me and go, yep, makes sense, good idea, or no, this is a dumb idea, Steve, and we're just going to delete your pull request. But in any case, that is my T-SQL T submission. And so once I process this video, I will embed it down here and this is where you'll be finding it. I'm Steve Jones for SQL Server Central and Redgate Software.